Senator Hanson, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Now, we just said Donald Trump's everywhere in this campaign. You congratulated him on his victory, having toasted him with champagne in 2016. With everything we've seen, do you think he still appeals to Australian voters?
What he stands for in representing his own country and being the president for the American people, they want change there. That's why he was overwhelmingly voted in. What he does in his country, you know, his business. Australia is totally different. We need to deal with our issues and problems here that we are facing in Australia. And the biggest one that we have at the moment is cost of living and the high immigration that's coming into the country.
All right, well, you've taken us back to domestic politics. How do you describe your relationship with Peter Dutton?
Look, I met with Peter Dutton over the years when he was Minister for Immigration and Home Affairs. I didn't know him. I wasn't in Parliament when he was the Health Minister. I found him very approachable. He listened to what I had to say. At that time, I had the shared balance power in the Senate. I took issues to him and I spoke to him. I think he's got the qualifications to actually become the Prime Minister of this country.
Is there anything you can do to help him become Prime Minister?
I've put my support behind him. I think that the way the country is going now, I don't believe it's in the right direction. Under the Albanese government, they say they brought the debt down. They haven't. Actually, when the coalition government handed it over to the Albanese government in 2022, the debt at that time was around $600 billion. It's now close to $1 trillion. It's expected to rise to $1.2 trillion. That's unsustainable. We can't sustain that.
So bring that back to what you said. What can you do to influence Peter Dutton's thinking?
It's not my influencing them. Well, actually, it was the fuel tax excise. That was my policy that I released in February of this year. And it was my pushing the Morrison government in the lead up to the election in 2019 that they brought in that 6-month fuel excise tax. It is a relief to people. You see, the $5 a week tax cut that the Albanese government wants to bring in, that's not for everyone. The fuel excise tax will actually benefit all people, whether you're homeowners, whether you're going to work, whether you're tradies, whether you're business or farmers. Everyone will benefit from that from day one and not have to wait till 2026 to get a $5 a week tax cut. It's unsustainable.
You have said that Peter Dutton has stolen some of your ideas, you know, the fuel excise you're talking about, but also nuclear energy. You've talked about him picking up the idea of not using Indigenous flags as national flags. This is the question. Are you suggesting that Peter Dutton is positioning you to become irrelevant?
Look, Peter Dutton has seen good policies, but I also say that the Albanese government picked up my policy of stopping foreign investment of our homes in Australia for 2 years. Now, they've both picked up my policies. It's when you bring good ideas to Parliament, that's what it's about. I don't want a pat on the back. If we can bring good policies that is going to benefit the Australian people, that's my job as a politician. And I think it's wonderful that they're both picking up my policies, common sense policies.
Have you had the chance to discuss those policies with the Leader of the Opposition?
No, I haven't met with Peter for a long time. So, no, I haven't met with him. I put out my policies. People can have a look at my policies. They go to the One Nation website, have a look at what I stand for, what I want to do for the Australian people and for the economy, for us to move forward and deal with the high rise of cost of living, the unaffordable cost of living that people have had them put on them by this Albanese Labor government and their push for renewables.
So in the event of a Dutton government, would you work closely with a Dutton government to help them deliver their agenda? Would you expect to do that in the Senate?
My job in the Senate is to look at all legislation that has been put forward and to actually pass it or try to improve it with amendments, as I did with the previous Turnbull-Morrison government. This Albanese government has not tried to even work with me. I don't even get meetings. I'm not being made aware of what legislation is coming up. I think they're arrogant. I think they're rude, incompetent, and have not done the best thing. Actually, 220 pieces of legislation have been guillotined from debate in the floor of Parliament. Didn't the Prime Minister say we're going to be open and honest and consultative? They haven't been. They've been anything but. I think change is needed.
Let me take you to the political landscape that we face coming up to this election. What is the difference between you and Clive Palmer's Trumpet of Patriots party?
Well, I don't look at his policies. I don't have anything to do with Clive Palmer.
No, but what's the difference? How does a voter distinguish between Pauline Hanson's One Nation and Clive Palmer's Trumpet of Patriots, given that you come from the same part of the political spectrum?
Well, not really, Sarah. You're asking me a question about his policies. I don't know his policies. All I hear from him is motherhood statements in his ads. You know, I've put up clear policies and directions, what I want for the country. Are not motherhood statements, Sarah. I've been on the floor of Parliament. I am an active. You know, it was One Nation that got 100,000 apprenticeship schemes taken up by the Morrison government. We have done an excellent job. It's my push of cutting back on immigration, both the Albanese government and now the Dutton-led coalition have picked up another of my policies, the superannuation scheme, on using it for your housing. That's another one of my policies. People should understand what I bring to the Parliament and policies for the future of this nation.
So let me ask you this. You are nonetheless competing for the same pool of voters with Clive Palmer. Could the Trumpet of Patriots replace One Nation?
Well, Sarah, that's up to the people to decide that. You know, do they want someone who just jumps in at the last minute, who wants to throw the money around and think they will have a say? The last time, what did Clive Palmer do on the floor of Parliament? Now, the people can answer the question themselves. I'm not going to be here criticising anyone else who wants to stand, you know, or put up candidates at this election. It is up to the public to judge each and every one of us on our performance, what we are offering, what we are fighting for. And I know that I've got more to offer than Clive Palmer and his party or any other party that I believe is in the best interest for the country and for the people out there.
Let me talk about the future, because you've hinted that this could be your last term. Your daughter Lee is running for the Senate in Tasmania. Now, you entered politics to express your view of what Australia should be, famously warning against Australia being swamped by Asians, then being in danger of being swamped by Muslims. Is your daughter's vision of Australia different to yours?
I think you should get Lee on to ask her those questions yourself. That was terms that I expressed in 1996, and at that time we had a high intake of family reunion of people coming from Asia. At the time, our population was about 4.5% Asian. Now it's nearer 20%. So that was actually pulled back. Sarah, I'm not going to apologise for what I foresee for the future. That's what a lot of politicians are lacking, vision for the future. Are we supposed to shut down debate or raising the issues because some people out there might be precious? If we're going to see how we want our country to look in the future, we should be actually raising these issues, talking about it, giving the people. I raised on the floor of Parliament to allow the public to have a plebiscite into immigration.
Let me just come in for a moment there, because I've just picked you up on the use of the word precious, because what we're talking about is racial vilification, not people being precious. But let me put the final question to you in this way. Do you have any regrets at all for having promoted division in Australia?
Sarah, you know where the division came from? When our Prime Minister put up a voice to Parliament, that was the division that has happened, where it was overwhelmingly rejected by Australians. Everything that I've called for is equality for all Australians. If my question our immigration is divisive, I think you're on the wrong page. We have a right as a Member of Parliament. I have a right to question our high immigration, where the people are coming from, will they assimilate? And we've had many people that have come here that have enhanced this country from all different cultural backgrounds. Now, I am not going to stop questioning about our immigration, where the people are coming from. Will they be beneficial to this country? Do they want to be Australian? Do they embrace our laws, our culture, our flag and our way of life?
Pauline Hanson, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you.